Hey everyone, how's it going? I wanted to pop on here and talk about what just happened, give you my general review for WandaVision episode 7, Breaking the Fourth Wall. God, this episode was amazing. So first we're going to start off giving you a little bit of a review. No spoilers for you guys, and then we're going to jump into some heavy spoiler content. So just beware. But we're starting off with no spoilers. This was a fantastic episode, and possibly the best one yet. It makes great leaps and bounds for the story as a whole. And we further and further been, okay. So we still have a group. Actually, no, never mind. I can't say that. Despite heavy sitcom elements throughout the 3 most recent episodes, you understand we've been getting more plot in them compared to like episode 1, or for example, or maybe episode 2. But that's perfectly fine, and I think as of that, we're kind of bleeding more into a classic MCU story, and that's what I want to talk about. In this episode, there are 2 specific moments that we'll get to that have a classic MCU style and really cement the fact and feeling that we are here in the MCU, and they're just great moments like that. Great filmography, great videography, don't know the words. Very cinematographic, so, you know, there are classic twists and turns that really just make the story good that they're telling of WandaVision, and props to everyone behind it. Actors, producers, writers, directors, etc. Very funny and hysterical moments. And this episode in particular, we get more Catherine Hahn, just like every other episode. But this one cements, I've been using that word a lot, sorry. Just in our heads. But this episode does cement a lot of things. No matter how funny that word is, that Catherine Hahn is a great actress, and I've just been personally blown away by the episode. Okay, now, if you haven't seen the episode yet, please click away. Come back later to get the spoiler review, because a lot happened. Ready? Okay, let's jump into it. This episode, last episode was a little bit like Malcolm in the Middle-ish. You know, we get the theme song. I think late 90s, early zeros, early 2000s. Now we're getting like late zeros/2000s, early 2010s with mockumentary talking head style. That very much so mirrors the styles of Modern Family and The Office, which in a sense brings it up to modern times. I would think there's a chance we get sitcom episode next, but I don't think we're gonna have a sitcom episode next. That's me, I think. I'll tell you about that later. It feels like we've really gotten to the end, to the like more modern times, especially with The Office and Modern Family feel, that we are like here and in modern sitcom things, which is great. I love the mockumentary and talking head styles, and here as we get closer along in Wanda's story, the world starts to change. Wanda has probably exhausted herself after expanding the border in last episode, and the world is changing a lot, mainly around her, only near her it seems, and it stops happening later on in the episode. Maybe it's only her house, but personally I doubt it, because her twins experience it, whatever. But after, she doesn't know like how it's happening, how to fix it, whatever. But she's obviously concerned. There is a Modern Family intro theme song with visually, I think graphically. I don't know if there was lyrics, but it had like an office kind of beat, like motif under it, ending with the WandaVision kind of thing. And this episode answers a buttload, just a ton of questions. So let's start doing that. I mean, it raised some with the things changing around her, but first question answered of the episode. Hayward is setting up camp again after he has escaped the Hex. What exactly? I don't know. And they have not been able to reach the broadcast of what's happening inside. So, Sword, Hayward, whatever, missed a lot of what went on in this episode. Will they even know? I don't know. But apparently they're planning to do something, and we don't know what that is. Darcy, another question. Darcy is 100% in, and she's the escape artist in the circus of Sword, and it works out really well because you see her like chained to this big truck or a vehicle or whatever, and it's funny because she was handcuffed to the thing by the people, but were they okay with her just being chained there the whole time? I don't know, but apparently Vision's they think he's a clown, and they're good. Oh, you're up. And Wanda is okay with Vision being gone, and I think like that's heartbreaking to see like the relationship fall apart, but I really hope that they still get another chance and they're still good together. But it's really sad because oh my gosh. The kids ask about last night, Uncle Pete, whatever. He's not your uncle. That guy's not your uncle. Agatha comes in. I told you, spoiler alert. Agnes comes in and she goes to take the kids, which is really, really weird already. And it's weird because, like, well, no. She expects Agnes to come in without knocking, so she lets her in with the magic. And she makes a joke about biting probably not a joke, makes a remark about biting a kid once. And I believed it you believe it with her character. And it's just so funny. I cracked up personally. And then she takes him to her house, whatever. Turns out, another question answered. Monica and Jimmy did get the email from Darcy before she went into Hex. Project Cataract from Sword. They were using, another question answered. They were using Vision as trying to get him to use as a weapon, but they couldn't. Monica mentioned sentient weapon. He was the sentient weapon that they were really observing for this while. Maybe because we don't know when they were established, but like sentient weapon, observation response to Vision, sentient weapon. Everyone was freaking out. I was really getting myself into the discourse as well about the aerospace engineer. It's not Reed Richards. It's Goodman or whatever. I don't know. Just not anyone too important in the comic lore, but she did seem kind of smart. Knew Monica kind of well. And personally, that was kind of obvious to me, like in the inside. Like, I highly doubted it. We'll see. Wanda can't fix it, so when behind the camera goes, "Is this what you deserve?" And it reminded me of that moment in The Office late in the series where the one guy, like the boom mic guy, comforted Pam when she was like having a meltdown or something, and I loved it. It was nice, but we got give you creep chills, whatever. And right after that, it cut to the commercial. So you didn't think it was that weird. Nexus, it's a thing apparently in the comic lore where like Wanda is a Nexus apparently, where she is like the same and a cornerstone of like all realities. But the commercial described, like, it described Wanda a lot, especially in the reality, like trying to get away from everything. Like she would need the Nexus. Oh, the Nexus maybe is the official name for the Hex. I don't know. Maybe it's the official name for the reality. Whatever. I want to see. I really hope there is an explanation for these commercials, because despite I love their symbolism, and maybe this, I think this Hex has cause for trauma, because I think in the beginning, when she was fixing her house, the stork popped up, and honestly, if I was in that situation, I think I saw it in her eyes a little bit. I'd be scared if I saw that stork come back from that situation in the 70s and like things have changed. My opinion. We see cut to Agnes and Billy and Tommy, and it's kind of an awkward situation because she like almost has her arms around them, which really scares me. And it's like a creepier, like manor-ish house that doesn't really fit the style of the other ones. You would think in some ways, though, it doesn't fit the style of the decade for other things in this show, but this does not fit the style of what the neighborhood looks like now. It doesn't look happy. This is a reality where everything looks happy. Wanda's made this reality to feel happy. This house doesn't feel happy. It feels lonely. Maybe it's because Ralph isn't there, but it gives you like suspicious vibes. Billy goes, "Oh, you're quiet on the inside. Why?" We'll talk about that later. I want to get to a certain part in this video. Stay tuned. Monica goes in an astronaut suit and this like rover made for space, I think. And it's cool because she's, I think, like a pilot or went to space, I think, and she's familiar with that kind of stuff. She tries to go in, doesn't work. Almost goes like vertical. She escapes. The first half turns into like a van, which is interesting because my thoughts are that maybe this is like some 2023 tech that doesn't fit into the late 2000s, early 2010s. I don't know. But then the brown van does. It reminded me of the thing in like Ant-Man and the Wasp and Endgame, the quantum tunnel of Luis's. You know, I couldn't say I know why. Maybe because it seemed like something they would have in the 70s or the 80s, maybe probably the 70s though. But I'll let that be. I'm confused, but I'll let that be. Maybe it just didn't fit with 2010, you know? So then, and Monica is really like, I don't know if I'm calling it definitely impulsive, very ambitious, and she has to have it her way. And I love the constant development of this new character we're getting, because we've had development of characters, Jimmy Woo, Vision, Wanda, Darcy, and Monica is a new hero. She's a good guy, we know that. And I love the way her character is going. Hayward, new character, bad guy, you know. It's really complex, but aside from that, there's we get our first real MCU scene of the show. And this is what I mean, like you would see this in like a Doctor Strange, a Captain Marvel, something like that. It's really cinematic and I love it. It does give off, you know, the thing about it does give off like Captain Marvel movie vibes. And I'll tell you why. So she starts walking through the border and it's thicker than it looks, or it just takes her a while to get through the whole thing. And it's a cinematic sequence where like she's at first like in like different parts of herself, as if she was in different realities. We see her wearing this one dress that she might have worn if she was in there in the 80s or 90s, but she wasn't. And she pushes herself together. She keeps going through, and she's still her. She's not what Wanda was gonna make her. So, and she pushes herself through, and in there we hear like flashbacks to Captain Marvel, as we did when she was coming back from the blip, where the subject of these are, they're talking about Carol, they're talking about Maria, they're talking about meeting Carol, like Monica meeting Carol, and Nick Fury made a comment about unless you learn to glow and fly like her, which all these I'm sure are foreshadowing. It's a very inspirational sequence, and the sequence itself reminds me of, if you've seen Captain Marvel, hopefully you have either way, you know, it's a good movie, I recommend it. The sequence when, when Carol is talking to Supreme Intelligence, and it's trying to take over her, but she's like, no, and then it shows the montage of Carol getting back up, which I might think is a super justice, social justice warrior nonsense, but I think it was really nice and showed the human side of Carol. Either way, oh my gosh, look at me going on a tangent. She comes through, she gets powers. We know this because of Blue Eyes. There was lots of foreshadowing with her test results not coming back. Foreshadowing with, just, like, lots of references earlier, and we know she has power because there's Blue Eyes, and when she looks at everywhere, she sees, like, lots of, like, energy in different colors. In comics, her power, in the comics, let me give you some background if you haven't read the comics or looked it up. She transforms energy. It could be like milk waves, gamma rays, radio waves, ultraviolet rays, whatever, and she transforms them into light. Maybe in MCU will be inspired by Carol, but different aliases she's gone by are Quasar, Captain Marvel, Photon. Maria went by the nickname Photon as well, maybe because speed of light, I don't know, and Spectrum. My guess is Spectrum, but we don't know. Especially since Miss Marvel also goes by maybe she goes by Captain Marvel as well, and Miss Marvel and also goes by Captain Marvel for like a little bit in the beginning. But I feel like she's gonna get the moniker Miss Marvel by the end of the series. Anyways, oh my gosh, look at me going on tangents again. I love this show. I love the MCU. But after she gets the power, she takes off her astronaut suit because she's in there safely, and her top is black and white like her superpower suit. Once again, just foreshadowing. I'm excited. Then we get cut to Darcy and Vision, who are in this like van for the circus, and she educates him, catches him up on stuff like Infinity War, him dying twice. And maybe we're talking off screen because he now understands that he used to be Jarvis for Tony Stark. His body was like Ultron's supreme, like strongest, like being that he never got to because the Avengers overtook it and is made out of vibranium, meant for genocide, etc. So he has this little identity crisis where he's like, well, who am I? She's like, I don't know, but you really love Wanda, and I really hope that they get together, but I doubt it because I don't know if he's going to make it out of the series alive. I said it, you know, but Wanda is trying to stop Vision from reaching her. Stoplights, children crossing the road, construction crews, everything. It was a nice sitcom element, and then he's seen sitting outside the van talking to the camera, and it's something that you've seen in sitcoms before. I forget which one it was, but he's like, oh, what am I doing talking to you? And rips off the mic and goes, and he uses powers to just fly out of the van and go find her, which I'm sure we'll get in the next episode, hopefully. He looks at the camera like Jim does. Agnes, I think, did this as well. Darcy name drops the whole series. She called the Wanda's world the Hex, and she has called this series WandaVision, unless they have actually said the series name in the theme songs, if they see the theme songs, anyways. But Monica, we get back to Monica, who confronts Wanda in her house. They go outside, and then, Monica, like, chains her up in magic and slams her down, and Darcy does a superhero landing, which just, as I said, cements more things. Well, this episode answered the fact that, yes, Monica does have superpowers, and that she got him through the Hex, and her landing in the classic superhero pose that we've seen many, like Iron Man and Spider-Man, do before. She's a superhero. Everyone should know that's symbolism, anyways. And it's like, when she does that, there's this like blue light that comes out of the ground, just like her eyes. Maybe her blast will be blue, which would make sense, because like light can be blue, and her powers and costume in the comics are like a white and a blue and a black. Less blue, more like a shading, but we'll see. The neighbors see this, which is really interesting. Wanda said she's done hiding, but they even see that Monica is different, and they hopefully would recognize Geraldine. I don't know. But she's talking to Wanda, and Monica is like, Wanda, I've had my mom's died. I feel like I've lost everything as well. Just gotta keep moving. And in Wanda's eyes, I think, in her face, she starts to like connect more. She doesn't like get aggressive to her. She actually starts to hear Monica, or as she knew her, Geraldine, out. And the neighbors see this. We see Dennis, the mailman, sees this. Dottie sees this. And then we see Agnes sees this as well. And she goes outside. She's like, I think she's overstayed or whatever. You just come inside with me. And comes inside and stops the situation from going any further, from them getting any closer. She mentions, Wanda's like, where are my kids? Agnes is like, oh, they're in my basement. Very creepy. The TV's running, half-eaten sandwiches. There's a fly that they show us for too long, which really gets me thinking. I don't know. But it's unfinished, which also does not fit the sitcom feel, because you would not have an unfinished basement in a sitcom, and a basement is never something they really show in a sitcom, or really in movies or anything that much, unless there's something bad. It's like symbolism for something hidden, something bad in film. So something's already going up. And I think Agnes does this on purpose. And as Wanda keeps it going, I love her outfit in this episode. It's like a red zipper up hoodie, which just fits the decade so well. I love it. It starts to look more arcane, and there's the book, and it all feels more like an MCU sequence here with the eerie music and everything, as she goes down into a secret place, and then she sees the lair, and then Agnes has a quick costume change. Boom! Agatha Harkness name drop reveal. Now, I only heard of this through posts on Twitter, Reddit, Instagram, whatever. But Agatha Harkness is a witch who has a lot to do with Wanda and her past, where in some rendition of the comics, Wanda's a witch. Agatha Harkness is 100% a witch. She always wears this brooch. She always has her familiar with her. And sometimes she's been an ally, sometimes she hasn't been. Here she has not been. She wore the witch costume last episode. She's always been wearing dark clothes. She's always suspicious, and I think, but it had Nickelodeon on her TV, This is Disney Plus. Like, what else did that mean? I'm pretty sure this is a little bit different because in the comics she does have a cat, and here she has Senor Scratchy. By the way, it's such a cute name. Which I think is her familiar, which I forget what exactly familiar is, but it might have like a soul of someone or something where it like connects to them, or maybe it turns into a real person, but I'm 90% sure that's her familiar. Her powers are purple. Wanda's red, but she's 100% a witch. She has this weird, creepy book that like looks like it's filled with magic, maybe locked by some kind of other magic that is kind of glowing and orangish. But in my opinion, this knocks out the possibility of Mephisto. I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that in my theories video on Tuesday. Link in the description if it's Tuesday or past that. And she gets this cute little fun villain theme song, which will be in my head forever. Agatha All Along, where it's a great song. But we're gonna talk about the song right now. It explains how like she came here and she had these bad intentions, and she maybe had a part in creating this reality, or put something in Pietro's head. Didn't create him, I don't think, but she came in color, which gives that hint that she might have made it. Influenced her, made him like cut through. And Vision started questioning. It was there when she was in the story so much. She's definitely a villain. She was the director that said, "Is this what you deserve?" Whatever, and she killed Sparky, the first dog as a pet in the MCU of a superhero, killed by her. This is how you know she means business. And that's the end of it. Until we roll the credits after the Agatha All Along song. And it says like, to be continued, or signal lost, or whatever. Until we get our first post-credit scene, mid-credit scene of WandaVision. Is this the only one? I highly doubt that. We'll at least get one in episode 9, I believe. Maybe in episode 8. I knew there would be one. Sticking around past the mid-credits spot all along, because, you know, there's that transition between the colorful credits and the like black and white credits with all the more detail. And we see Pietro. We haven't seen him all episode. He says something like, "Snooper's gonna snoop, eh?" That either means he was snooping before Agatha got in his head. He's related to Agatha in more ways, and maybe Agatha's still in his head. I don't know, because you see all like Agatha put the thing in his head. Something's up. Something's up with Pietro. We don't know what it is, what his intentions are. But I'm excited to figure out next week. Overall, this was an amazing episode that took leaps and bounds to confirm many things. And I definitely one of the best ones, if not the best one. I'd give it just a 9 out of 10. Some parts felt a little bit dry, but some parts were really funny. And they used the sitcom element well, as they always do, and it really bent the plot. So, yeah. Thanks for watching. If you did, bye.